Just take the bus to your graduation, Dad muttered without lifting his eyes from his phone. We need to take your brother to the BMW dealership that morning. He's had his eye on the new M8 competition coupe. I stood in our spacious, marble-tiled kitchen, the kind that gleamed with wealth but felt perpetually cold. In my hand, I held the formal graduation invitation from Stanford, my name embossed in gold foil. For years of pulling all-nighters, acing every exam, and quietly building a tech empire from my dorm room, I swallowed the lump in my throat. It's my graduation, Dad, I said, voice barely louder than a whisper. From Stanford, with honors. Mom was fluttering around the kitchen with her usual air of graceful avoidance. She didn't meet my eyes. Megan, sweetie, she said gently, you know how important this is for Ryan. He just made junior partner at Winslow and Hale. That BMW will help him make the right impression. The right impression. That was always the priority. My brother Ryan, with his Armani suits and picture-perfect law career, had always been their golden child. Meanwhile, I was the stubborn disappointment who turned down law school and instead chose business and tech. They saw my decision as reckless, even embarrassing. The bus goes straight to campus, Dad said, finally glancing up. Besides, it's not like anyone's coming to see you graduate. No boyfriend. No big job lined up. You'll be fine. If only they knew. They never asked how I paid for my off-campus apartment in Palo Alto. Never wondered how I traveled internationally or why I always had the newest phone before it even hit the US market. My little tech projects, as they called them, were more than just hobbies. They were the foundation of something colossal. Fine, I said, turning toward the front door. Enjoy the BMW showroom. Back at my apartment, I sank onto my minimalist Italian leather sofa and opened the dashboard for my crypto investments. My blockchain-based startup, built from scratch, had just gone viral across Southeast Asia. My holdings were up another $1.2 billion overnight. A ping. Miss Mitchell, came the smooth voice of my AI assistant. The board meeting for Mitchell Innovations is confirmed for tomorrow at 9 a.m. Also, Forbes wants to finalize the cover shoot for their 30 Under 30 issue. Shall I reply? Yes, I said, smiling as I tapped a reply. No big job lined up, huh? The next morning, global headlines were filled with news of Mitchell Innovations' quantum computing breakthrough. Our stock price surged. Journalists began connecting the dots to me, the anonymous founder hidden behind shell companies and AI-run PR. The world was waking up. My family, of course, was still asleep, figuratively and literally. 3 days before graduation, Mom called. Honey, about graduation, we might be a little late. Ryan's BMW is getting custom wheels and an interior upgrade. The dealership only had this morning available. I paused, then replied flatly, don't worry. I'm sure the bus will get me there just fine. What they didn't know was that I had no intention of taking the bus. I had arranged something far more memorable. I dressed deliberately that morning. A custom-tailored navy Chanel pantsuit under my gown, diamonds in my ears, and a Cartier watch on my wrist. My inbox overflowed with congratulations from Fortune 500 CEOs, Silicon Valley elites, and international heads of state. As I locked the door behind me, my assistant called. Miss Mitchell, the coordination is complete. The dean has the speech ready. The Wall Street Journal will go live with your feature at exactly 11:32 a.m., synced with a ceremony. Perfect. I slid into the back seat of my limited edition crystal white Bugatti, driven by my personal chauffeur, and headed to campus. Families were flooding in, balloons and signs in hand. Then I spotted them, Dad, Mom, and Ryan, stepping out of his brand-new BMW M8, his custom plates already installed. They were smiling proud, polished. They didn't see me pass them, didn't recognize the young woman stepping confidently toward the graduates' staging area. The ceremony started, and I sat quietly among my classmates. I spotted my family in the crowd. Dad was scrolling on his phone. Mom was showing off Ryan's BMW key fob. Ryan, of course, was taking selfies with a car behind him. Then the moment arrived. Before we begin conferring degrees, the dean said, we'd like to recognize an extraordinary graduate. A woman whose accomplishments extend far beyond these walls. Murmurs spread. I could see Dad glance up, annoyed at the interruption. Mom leaned in, confused. This year, Stanford Business School is proud to honor Megan Mitchell, CEO and founder of Mitchell Innovations. At just 24, Miss Mitchell has become the youngest self-made billionaire in the tech world. A wave of gasps rippled through the auditorium. Her work in quantum computing, blockchain systems, and artificial intelligence is changing the global landscape. Her company employs over 25,000 people across 19 countries. And just this week, she became the largest individual donor in Stanford's history with a $2 billion gift to our Innovation Lab and Tech Research Wing. A standing ovation erupted. I stood, smoothing my robe, and made my way to the stage as photos of my accomplishments lit up the massive screens overhead. My startups, my code, my patents, my name, everything they'd never bothered to ask about. The dean gestured to the mic. Miss Mitchell would now like to say a few words. I stepped up, removing my gown and revealing the sharp lines of my Chanel suit. Silence. Thank you, Dean Harrison. For years ago, I arrived here with a dream and a vision. While others were focused on parties, internships, and fast cars, I let my eyes lock on Ryan. I was building something the world hadn't seen yet. I could feel the power shift in the room. Everyone assumed I was just another business student. But while you were all buying BMWs, I let the audience laugh. I was building an empire. After the ceremony, reporters swarmed. Photographers snapped pictures of me beside my Bugatti. One even climbed onto Ryan's car to get a better angle. My family approached slowly. Mom's makeup was streaked from tears. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years. And Ryan? He just looked confused. Megan, Mom whispered, How did we not know? Because you never asked. Dad cleared his throat. We always thought you didn't have a plan. You never mentioned any of this. You mean I didn't brag about it? I interrupted. You were too busy being proud of Ryan's BMW and his job title. I was the disappointment who didn't follow the path you mapped for me. Ryan spoke next, his voice hoarse. You're a billionaire. My little sister is a billionaire. I smiled. Actually, 14.1 billion as of this morning. But who's counting? My assistant appeared with a tablet. Miss Mitchell, President O'Connor, is on the line. He'd like to congratulate you personally. Dad's jaw dropped. The president. Tell him I'll call back in 10, I said. I'm with family. Mom shook her head, still in disbelief. But why didn't you tell us? We could have supported you. You mean like when I pitched my first startup at 18 and you told me to focus on a backup plan? Or when Dad suggested I marry someone ambitious instead of becoming someone ambitious? They were silent. I didn't do this to prove you wrong, I said softly. I did it because I believed in something you never saw. And because I didn't need your permission to succeed. I handed Dad a small black business card, just my name and founder Mitchell Innovations in silver print. Dinner tonight. My penthouse. I'll send the jet for Grammy. She was my first investor. Grammy knew. Mom gasped. Of course. She listened when no one else did. As I turned to leave, I paused. Oh, and Ryan? Might want to park that BMW out back. The front spots are for the Forbes cover shoot. Ryan opened his mouth, but no words came. I walked away, surrounded by world leaders, CEOs, and my executive team. That night, over champagne and a sweeping view of the bay, I raised my glass to taking the bus and building an empire while the world was too busy admiring their cars. And from the stunned silence around me, I knew they'd never see me the same way again. The golden chandelier above my dining table cast warm light over the 16-foot marble slab that served as a dinner table. The panoramic view of San Francisco glimmered through the floor-to-ceiling windows behind me, but all eyes were on me now. My family sat in stunned silence. Mom dabbed at her tears with a monogrammed napkin, her diamond bracelet trembling on her wrist. Dad hadn't touched his filet mignon. Ryan just stared at the sleek black business card I'd handed him hours earlier, like it might bite. I raised my champagne glass again, trying to cut the tension. To family, I said smoothly, even when they don't see you until you shine too brightly to ignore. That did it. Is that what this is all about? Dad snapped, finally putting down his glass. A revenge play? An ambush to make us look foolish. I met his glare evenly.
No, Dad.
This is the only dinner where I've actually been seen. Mom flinched. That's not fair, Megan. We always wanted the best for you. No. I cut her off sharply. You wanted the best-looking version of me. You wanted the successful lawyer sister of Ryan version. Not the one who coded until 3 a.m. Not the one who built a tech empire instead of chasing a man. Ryan finally snapped out of his daze. Okay, let's not pretend like you didn't enjoy this performance, he said, voice tight. You could have told us. You chose to blindside us like this. What did you expect us to do? Bow down. I laughed coldly. You think this is about making you bow down? Ryan, you mocked me for taking the bus. You used to tell your friends I was directionless. You bragged about being this smart one. And now, you're offended that the truth humiliated you. His jaw clenched. At least I earned my success. I didn't just get lucky with crypto and slap my name on a few apps.
Lucky.
My voice rose. The room went dead silent. I stood up slowly, hands planted on the table. Do you have any idea how many nights I went without sleep building those platforms? How many investors rejected me? How many times I was laughed out of rooms filled with old white men who thought a girl couldn't lead a tech company? Ryan shifted uncomfortably. I wrote my first blockchain framework in a Starbucks, Ryan, on a second-hand laptop. I coded my way out of invisibility while you were busy memorizing case law and sipping martinis at firm retreats. Dad stood too, arms crossed. So that's what this is. You want a medal for working hard? That's called adulthood, Megan. You're not the only one who's struggled. No, Dad, I said, eyes locked with his. I don't want a medal. I wanted a seat at the table. Your table. But you already set that for Ryan. Mom was crying again now. We were just trying to protect you. The tech world, it's ruthless. We didn't want you to get hurt chasing something unrealistic.
So you ignored me instead, I said.
Dismissed my ambitions. Laughed off every win. Told me to find a husband who might support me. I didn't mean it like that. You said I should marry someone like Ryan. The words hung in the air. Ryan's face twisted. Oh, come on, I'm not the villain here. I raised an eyebrow. Weren't you the one who intercepted my internship offer from your firm's venture capital division? Told them I wasn't serious enough. Ryan paled. That was years ago. I didn't think. Exactly. I said bitterly. You didn't think. You were so used to being the center of everything, you couldn't handle the idea that maybe your little sister had value outside of being your footnote. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then came a quiet voice from the end of the table. She told me first, Grammy said. About her ideas. About her plan. And I listened, not because I thought it would make billions, but because she believed in it so fiercely. And that was enough. She looked around the room. You all forgot something important. Belief doesn't come after success. It creates success. Mom reached out, voice shaking. Megan, I'm sorry. We just didn't know how to support something we didn't understand.
You didn't try, I said. My voice was quiet now. Tired.
And that's what hurts the most. Dad exhaled, slow and long. We were wrong.
And we see that now.
But if you can find it in your heart to let us in again, we want to try. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I turned toward the massive window overlooking the city, my reflection staring back from the glass. For a moment, I saw the girl they never saw. Quiet, unassuming, underestimated. Then I saw her become me. I turned back. Trying is a start, I said finally. But it doesn't erase the years I spent invisible at this table. You'll need to earn your seat at my table now. Ryan looked down. Dad nodded solemnly. Fair enough, he murmured. The tension hung heavy, but there was something else now too. Recognition. Not approval. Not pride. Something deeper.
respect.
My phone buzzed. Another congratulatory message from a foreign minister. Another notification. Walker Tech acquires Geneva Quantum Labs, deal valued at $2.7 billion. I stood. I have a 10 p.m. call with Tokyo, I said. But Grammy, you're staying here tonight. Your suite is ready. Grammy smiled warmly. I knew you'd change the world. I looked at my parents, then at Ryan. Next time you want to talk about success, don't bring a car key. Bring an open mind. As I walked away, I heard Ryan whisper, she really built an empire. And this time, no one laughed. A week had passed since the graduation ceremony. The Wall Street Journal article had racked up over 20 million views. Mitchell Innovations was now the second most searched company on the internet. I'd flown from San Francisco to Dubai to negotiate an international data center expansion, and by the time I landed back in California, 3 new venture funds had offered to buy into my next AI project. In other words, life hadn't slowed down, not even for a second. But then my assistant, Ava, walked into my home office with an odd look. Miss Mitchell, she said carefully, your parents are downstairs. They didn't call ahead. I blinked. Here? She nodded. And they brought something. Against my better judgment, I headed downstairs. There they were, standing awkwardly in the grand marble foyer of my penthouse, looking wildly out of place. Dad in a blazer he clearly hadn't worn in years, Mom clutching a thick, bound folder like a weapon. Both nervous. That was new. Hi, sweetheart, Mom said, smiling like she used to when I was 5. We know you're busy, Dad added quickly. We just wanted to show you something. Something important. I raised an eyebrow but gestured toward the sitting room.
All right.
You have 10 minutes. We sat. Ava placed espresso shots in front of them. They didn't touch them. Mom handed me the folder. It's called the Mitchell Foundation, she said. We've set up a nonprofit in your name. I blinked. You what? Dad cleared his throat. We've pledged $10 million to launch it. To support young women in tech, especially from underserved communities. Full scholarships, coding boot camps, mentorships, the works. It'll be headquartered in San Francisco. And we'd be honored if you would be the face of it. My fingers tightened around the leather folder. The idea wasn't bad. In fact, it was something I'd planned to do eventually, but it wasn't their place. Not after everything. You created a foundation using my name. Without asking me? I asked slowly. We just wanted to show you we believe in you now, Mom said quickly. That we're proud. We thought maybe this could be a step toward rebuilding. Did you mean well?
I said. Probably.
But what you did was take something I've built alone and try to attach yourselves to it with a check. Dad looked stung. We're just trying to make it right. I stood and paced slowly toward the tall windows, trying to breathe through the flood of emotion, grief, anger, longing, betrayal, and love all wrapped in the same damn package. I was 13 when I told you I wanted to build things no one had ever seen, I said softly. You told me I should focus on being likable. They were silent. At 16, I entered a statewide coding competition. Ryan had a mock trial the same weekend. You skipped mine. Mom's eyes filled with tears. And when I got accepted into Stanford, you told me it wasn't too late to apply to law school instead. Dad ran a hand through his hair, defeated. I worked 2 jobs, built a company, paid my tuition, raised investment rounds, all while pretending I didn't care that my own family never asked me once what I was doing. We were wrong, Mom said, voice cracking. God, Megan, we were so wrong. We were scared. We didn't know how to support you because you were doing things we never understood. It doesn't make it okay, but we see it now. We see you now. I turned to face them. You can't buy your way into my trust, Mom. We're not trying to buy it, she said quickly. We're trying to earn it. Dad stepped forward. This foundation, it was inspired by you. We wanted to do something your way. But we messed that up too, didn't we? I sighed. You should have asked. The first step to honoring someone is giving them a voice. There was a beat of silence. Then Mom took a deep breath and pushed a separate envelope toward me. Then let's do it your way. Rip it up. Rewrite it. Rename it. or shut it down. It's your choice. I took the envelope, opened it. Inside was a transfer of full ownership, the founding funds wired, the nonprofit already legally registered under my control.
No strings.
No conditions. Dad looked up. We're not asking to be co-founders. We're asking to be part of your life. If you'll let us. I stared down at the papers. $10 million. An apology in action. A rare thing from two people who had built their lives on appearances and image. I was quiet for a long moment. I'll run the foundation, I said at last. But it won't be in my name. It'll be named after Grammy. Mom gasped softly. She believed in me before anyone else did. She asked questions. She showed up. She deserves it. Dad nodded, his voice quiet. Agreed. I softened, just slightly. And if you want to help, you'll attend every board meeting. You'll meet these girls. You'll listen to them, not lecture them.
Can you do that?
Yes, Mom said immediately. Absolutely. We can, Dad added. We will. I finally sat again. You still don't know me, I said honestly.
But you're starting to try.
That's worth something. We sat in silence for a minute.
Not awkward.
Just new. Maybe even healing. Ava peeked in. Miss Mitchell, your car is ready. You have your investor roundtable in 45 minutes. I stood, grabbing my phone and the envelope. Let's start over, I said, looking at them. Not from scratch, but from honesty. As I walked to the elevator, Mom called out one last thing. Megan? I turned. We were so proud of Ryan's BMW. But now, I think the only thing worth showing off is you. And for the first time, I smiled. Not the press smile. A real one. 6 months had passed since the Mitchell Foundation launched under Grammy's name. The press couldn't get enough of the story. Tech billionaire Megan Mitchell honors her grandmother through groundbreaking Girls in STEM initiative. But I had other things to focus on: Series C funding rounds, IPO forecasts, and a government partnership in the pipeline. What I didn't know: Ryan had quietly left his law firm 2 months ago. And with a little seed money from his friends and a whole lot of arrogance, he tried to start his own AI venture. Apparently, he told people,
How hard can it be?
My sister did it. He even tried to poach engineers from my company. Tried using my last name as leverage in meetings. Tried to replicate what I'd spent a decade building in 6 weeks. It flopped. Spectacularly. When I got the call, I was in Tokyo preparing for a keynote at a tech summit. Ava patched through my personal line. It's your brother, she said carefully. He's waiting downstairs at HQ. I didn't respond at first. He's crying, she added. I sighed. Give him 10 minutes. By the time I got back to San Francisco, Ryan was still waiting. Disheveled. Jaw tight. A man who'd been publicly humiliated and privately humbled. I walked into the glass conference room where he sat like a kid in the principal's office. He stood quickly. Megan. Thanks for seeing me. I didn't sit. I only have time for facts.
No ego.
No stories. He nodded, swallowing hard. The startup's dead. We burned through the $2.8 million. Our AI model was unstable. The data set was garbage. Investors pulled out last week. I didn't flinch. I warned you, I said. He looked up, desperate.
I know.
You were right. I thought I could shortcut it. I thought I could be like you. I raised an eyebrow. You didn't want to be like me. You wanted the credit I have, not the work behind it. He looked ashamed. I need help, Megan.
I'm drowning.
They're going to sue me for breach of contract. I mortgaged Mom and Dad's house for part of the collateral. That made me stop. You what? They signed willingly, he said quickly. They believed in me. No, I said flatly. They believed in your image. Like they always have. His voice cracked. I'm not asking for millions. Just enough to keep the house. Please. I was quiet. Then I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, stared at the skyline I helped reshape. Do you remember what you said the night I launched my company? I asked. He blinked.
No.
You laughed. Said, nobody's going to take a girl in a hoodie seriously. Then told everyone at the family barbecue I'd probably be back working at Geek Squad in a year.
He looked sick.
I was awful. I was jealous. No, I said. You were dismissive. Entitled. Cruel. Not just to me, to every woman who ever tried to be more than what she was told to be. He dropped his gaze. I don't deserve your help, he whispered. I finally sat across from him. No, you don't. He looked up startled. I slid a folder across the table. Inside was a contract. A personal loan. 0 interest. /700,000. Enough to cover the house and settle his debts. His hand trembled. You're giving me this? No, I said. You're earning it. He flipped to the last page. His name was listed as Director of Community Outreach, Mitchell Foundation. You're going to spend the next year working for the girls you used to roll your eyes at. You're going to teach workshops, run mentorship events, and learn what it's like to build from the ground up.
No shortcuts.
No title bumps. And every Friday, you'll write a reflection essay. Not for me, for yourself. He looked stunned. You'd trust me with that.
Not yet.
But I trust you can change. He choked out a laugh. You're a better person than I ever was. I stood. I'm the same person you laughed at when I was coding in a closet at 2 a.m. The only difference? Now the world listens. He looked like he might cry again. As I turned to leave, I paused. One more thing, I said. He looked up. Next time someone tries to talk down to a girl building something, stop them. That's how you repay me. A year later, Ryan was still at the foundation. He didn't ask to leave. Didn't ask for a title. Didn't ask for praise. Instead, he started something real. And maybe for the first time, my parents were proud of both of us. But most importantly, when the next girl at her desk dreams of something wild, she'll have a whole room cheering her on. Even a guy who once called her too ambitious. And that, finally, felt like justice.